It's been a while since I've done a loose threads, and I'm looking to get a couple things off of my sewing to-do list. And I found this crest on eBay eons ago. The Erie Panthers were a team from 1988 to 1996, predecessor to the Erie Otters. And first off, just finding a crest, what? Okay. Like I get 99% of the things I find are on eBay. eBay is the place to go. You search hockey crest, you'd be shocked what you found. And I found this. And I realized, well, I knew that the Erie Panthers just wore LA Kings jerseys. They were the same as the Kings, which would make assembling a jersey very, very easy. So I was going to buy one from Homegrown Sporting Goods. This popped up on eBay for half of what I would have spent. So I got it. So it's an uncrested LA Kings jersey and the Erie Panthers crest. And then I went and bought the freeform numbers to go and put together. So that's how we're going to do this. So I'm John. Welcome to the Loose Threads. Let's build a jersey. Now, the number one question always is, where'd you get the stuff? So eBay, and this is Homegrown Sporting Goods. I'll put a screenshot up. Not sponsored. Would love for them to give me free stuff, but not how it goes. And so I am guerrilla customizing this, as I call it, because I have the pieces and I have to put it together. This is not a custom kit. And honestly, I'm kind of regretting it. Probably why they sat on my list for so long, because they send it to you like this in bags. And as I've gone over in other videos, we're going to have to snip off the edges of these. I'll talk about that in a second. And I'm going to have to put out that onto a nameplate. And I am really lamenting that. So let's just get started, shall we? I'm going to do the numbers first and the crest last, so the least chance of that crest getting damaged in the process. So let's get started. So like I said, they sent it to you in pieces. So I'm going to have to take one each of these and put them together, and then sew them, on, which is annoying. And honestly, one of the reasons to go with a number kit. The other reason, so these are meant to be just heat pressed on. If you don't have a stitched edge like this, focus. If you don't have a stitched edge like this, it'll fray. And it'll fray endlessly, and there's really not a good way to stop that. So they do a little melting process to build a stitched edge to this number. The thing is that it is plasticky and is annoying as all get out, and will catch on everything if you leave it on. So what I need to do to every layer of every number, yes, even the big ones, I'm going to have to snip that edge off. So I take just the least bit so it's smooth and not this jagged, teethy edge. And I'm not going to show all that because, one, it is really tedious. It's tedious to do, let alone to watch. And two, I don't trust my cutting skills enough to have to do it all while on screen. So just know that I had to do this for the silver layers of both numbers, the black layers, etc., and all the parts of the number of the name. Honestly, I might just skip the name because it's already on a nameplate. Is it going to catch on things? I don't know. But honestly, I think, as much as I like Homegrown Sporting Goods, and this is not, they said you can't get it without this, which is fair. They have one product. Well, they have a whole line of products, the whole website. But when it comes to the numbers, they have a product, and you order their product or you don't, and that's fair enough, right? Like, yeah, I could try to find somewhere else, I'm sure, if I really wanted to, but I haven't. So instead, I am forced to do this. So when it comes to this guerrilla customizing, I really think, unless I'm doing just a single number, something easy, I'm not going to. I'm going to go with the kits. They're not that much more expensive. It annoys me a little bit at the price, especially since, one digit versus two digits, same price, which is me being cheap. But if you've watched and paid attention to how much I buy any of my jerseys for, I am cheap, especially when it comes to this stuff, which I know kind of belies the whole collection behind me. But all that was done on on the thrift. I guarantee I've spent a whole lot less than people who have not even a full one layer of a closet, simply because I am an eBay connoisseur. So I'm going to keep working on these and know that I'm going to spend the entire time with a entire number. There, I have finished one layer of one number. And it's not hard. It's just tedious. So I'm going to keep working on that, and we'll pick you back up. Okay, skipping ahead a little. I mean, I trimmed things and laid it down. So the person on the back is going to be Scott Barefoot, Mercyhurst alum, and the first Mercyhurst number retired because he just had all sorts of records in NCAA D3. And my thought is that while the best thing would probably be to spray it with adhesive and lay these out and then stitch, that sounds insane. The amount of getting this wrong and being unable to move stuff because of the adhesive, not dealing with that. The actual instructions say to put it all onto the jersey first and then just stitch, and that defeats the purpose of a nameplate. So my thought is, since there's no plastic backing on this, that I got wax paper. I think it's technically parchment paper, and I don't know the difference. I know one burns, one doesn't. I don't know which is which. So that's fun. And trying to lay this out ahead of time, and just kind of just taking a yardstick, and I'm going to... And so as this heats up, I want to make sure that it is as even as I can get it. Oh, that was good. That was smart, John. As even as I can get it before heat pressing it. And I figure even if I lose the glue on this nameplate, the nameplate is in fact a rectangle, and it is much easier to deal with that on a plain jersey, on a Bear jersey, than anything else. Oh, I also took, this is a whiteboard that I've had kicking around, and using the cork side of it. That way I can have a bit more space to lay things out, because that's been a real problem of like, okay, I have it all set up, and then when I move it, it's moved ever so slightly, so that way I can like lay a jersey out here is the thought. And I've always obviously had to adjust the panel to fit that. So I'm going to let this keep warming up, and then we'll put it down. All right, one thought I do have is if I put it down for the full 25 seconds, it may do more to fuse the back, so I am probably going to leave it off a little early, but I want enough time for this to actually set the glue in the letters, but not necessarily the glue in the rest. So it's not close enough. So let me, because usually I also put a pillow down. So now it's got a good press to it. Oops. With that added time, 5 seconds early, and it looks like it's stuck, and hey, I actually might have won. So it's there. I'm not gonna push it. It definitely needs to be stitched down, but I think I actually had a tremendous victory. So I'm gonna enjoy that, and I'm gonna stitch this down. And then we're going to have to put it on with, well, we're going to put the rest of the numbers together, and then we can put it all together. Very nice. All right, this is very simple. You want a short width like 2. The goal, as always, is to stitch on through the letter, and then on the other side of it. sure I don't lose any, because usually I'm a little more confident on my glue. So you want one on, one over the edge to seal it in there, just like the thing I just cut off. So that was a problem. Okay, so I need to get out the seam ripper. I need to find my seam ripper and pull that out. That's clearly a mistake. Not the worst thing, just literally getting in there and yanking them out. And where is my seam ripper? So I'm gonna do that, and maybe I'll splice on some footage of it. So all I'm talking is getting underneath here until we can get all of it pulled out and pulled through the back, and then it's gone. It's like it never happened. You won't see any of the remnants behind if you do it right. So that's all. As for the rest of this, I am going to spray them together using my 5-in-1 temporary spray. Doesn't leave any residue behind, which is great. Washes off. So I am going to spray the back of these 7s, and I'm going to have them ready to go. And this is just an old paper bag because somehow I'm out of box lid. But I'm going to start there, and we're going to, that adhesive, I can feel the adhesion on my hand. It's also very cold, compressed air. All right, there's one. 7. Never get tired of that joke. And really, I'm finding one piece of it to align, and I probably should do better. So I get like a side of it. Once you get that, because it's not stretchy, it should all just fall into place. Yeah, all right. All right. And last but not least, I am going to start over here. I can more or less judge how it's supposed to go. And then just kind of walk it along the edge and be like, yeah, that's how it's supposed to go. Oh, well, not quite, not quite, not quite. And then I can adjust. Oh, what? I do like how that adhesive is not super strong. Like, I can pull it apart with ease, and it's still tacky enough that, like, I can work with it. So, yeah. Alright, that's easy enough. And now I want to stitch those layers together, make it permanent, and then we'll heat press them on. I want to start with the big one so that I don't have to change thread, and I think I have a nice white thread there. You want it a wider width, a 3 is what you're looking for. Alright, next day, new things. I think you see now why I wanted a bigger surface to work with. A lot more room to spread things out. So I'm going to stick the pillows into the sleeve. I'm doing the sleeve numbers first just because I hate them more. And I want to get them out of the way. And my logic is that the less bulky things are on the jersey, the easier it will be to maneuver this around a sewing machine, though I am still trying to get better at how to maneuver things around with sleeve numbers. And hopefully Island Jerseys can be proud of me on this one. He showed me, he gave me pictures, and I'm still trying to figure it out. Island_jerseys. He's on Instagram. Go check him out. I wish he'd film videos. I'd watch all of them. Maybe he does, and I just didn't look. Sorry. But he should. Follow him on Instagram. So it is easy. We have a nice crease in the sleeves from the manufacturing. And the Panthers and Kings were the very convenient right in between the gray stripes. So there isn't a whole lot of difficulty in lining these up. you got a lot of reference points. And then as long as that's going to be, yeah, that's on there. And then I'm going to put some shielding. These copper cloths. Oh, let's make sure I didn't move anything. No. These copper sheets are shielding to keep the jersey fabric from scorching, melting, etc. And that'll help. So let's give it a second to warm up, and there we go. All right, let's do this. Oh yeah, those are on. All right, so see if I can figure out how to put those on the machine. So the pictures I was given, you put the jersey inside out. And then you pull a sleeve back inside out, or back right side out. And that doesn't make any sense. I mean, you're still going to have to. What if I turn everything now right side out except that sleeve? No, that's just going to. That doesn't make any sense. So, okay. I'm going to have to message him again and just be like, so, what more can you tell me? Because doing it through the whole of the collar made sense. That's what it looked like on his machine when he showed. But I feel like I must be missing something. So I'm going to start with this for now, and you'll see in future episodes, maybe not the next episode, but future episodes, because this is just when I get bored. Yeah. All right. So with this slightly more involved setup. So what I thought, right, like this, right? I mean, like, I got all the room in the world to work, but I must not be doing something right, and I don't know what yet, but it works enough for now. Also, it's nice I don't have to worry about anything else in here. I'm doing the sleeve numbers first, even though they're my least favorite part. It just makes it so it's much easier to move the rest of this thing around. So let me stitch this on. All right, once again, you see, I can see it through the collar. And I start away from where your eye typically looks, which means the bottom corner. And again, we're going to go one on, one off. So I think it's plenty obvious why I started using this. First off, I did buy a T-square based on recommendations, and then I thought, well, okay, wouldn't it be great if it was 1 inch wide, so I could really use it to guide? And so I bought a couple yardsticks. also from Lowe's. But they're 1.5 inches wide. And then at work, I just kind of noticed that some of the old meter sticks are exactly 1 inch wide. So that is nice. Who would have thought the metric system would help me out? So I'm going to put my pillow in there. And I am going to use the meter stick up against the seam so that it is exactly 1 inch from the edge of the seam to place my nameplate. And then now if I'm smart, okay, so 33 and 10, well, that is exact. So that is exactly centered. If I take that away, now unfortunately the pillow kind of runs off a little. I do have additional pillowing, so maybe I should do that, and then verify again my measurements are right. Things I haven't had to do before. Oh, no, it's too much. Okay, all right. Meter stick. Is it 10 and 33? Okay, so exactly 33. Well, what am I doing? The middle of the F at the middle of the seam. And then put that straight on the edge. Yeah. Make sure I don't have any wrinkles underneath. Let's put down some protection. And you can put more, but I'm not that concerned. I do think it's a lot of pressure. I'm going to release just a little bit of it. And yeah, that is most definitely on. Wait, the outer edges aren't quite because they're too far past. They're outside of the 15 inch. Well, here's what I can do. I can move the whole plate down and do this. And then slide it down for the other side. And again. Okay. Now we get that stitched. So I wind it up, it's on a 3 again. These no cards. Now these from Homegrown Sporting Goods have rounded edges. Probably because the corners will come up easier when you're just heat pressing. I wish it had just corners. I probably should have trimmed it to have just corners, but what are you going to do? I find a corner is just easier to just turn it, pivot, and go, but whatever. All right, we're back on the press. I got the pillow underneath already. I'm going to move this up Now, this 7 is going to go 1 inch. Just about everything is set up 1 inch gaps, which is why I was like, oh, I need to get a 1 inch wide yardstick. And I will end up making a T-square out of multiple yardsticks. That's a thing that's going to happen. But that is outside of the range of this heat press. It's too big, and if I keep pulling and mangle this, I feel like I'm going to do damage. So I am going to do this in 2 segments, kind of like I did the nameplate. I did it in 3 segments, like a dum-dum. Make sure this is lined up. And let's, it's a 20. And this, honestly, is the biggest reason, because I'm pretty good at eyeballing when something's not quite right. Okay. Now, that's most of it. More than I thought it was. Okay. And now let me actually kind of push and mangle. Okay, now this goes on to the heat press. You know what? I'm gonna iron this. I am. I'm not gonna put it on heavy for just a few seconds. Yeah, good. Probably should have just done that from the first start. All right. I'll stretch on numbers. I'm back to a 3, nice and wide and chunky. All right, honestly, I am very pleased with how this turned out. Again, it's not the Los Angeles Kings, it's a random EHL team in Erie. So even if it's not exactly to the Kings font, which I don't know that it's not, a lot of teams back then used just generic fonts or slight variations. So now we got to put on the Crest. And the Crest is a lot thicker. Let's also take a moment and like how bad this logo is. This is just a random shape, and this is half a panther, and there's a stick here for no discernible reason. It's a terrible logo. But that's not the point. That's not why we're here. So I have to turn the machine up to 340, and I do believe it fits entirely under the base, so that'll help. We'll line that up. Do I have enough pillow underneath? Is going to be another question, or is that going to throw things off as well? So let's get to the next round of this, shall we? We're almost done. All right, I did, first off, it does fit, so that's good. I'm going to stick that underneath there. And I did a wear test, which I think is most underrated thing. Like, you can have all the information in the world about where it ought to be. If it doesn't look right, it doesn't matter. So, in throwing this on, this logo should be about 3 inches down from the collar. Pull the whole thing up a bit to make sure it is actually on the plate where it needs to be. If you measure across, that's very large crest. About 13 inches, so 7 should be lined up with the middle of the collar. Let's do this. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Yes. Very hot though. So, let's get this on the sewing machine. We're still on a 3 setting. We want some real width. And I'm going to start down here. That's thick. All right, it's done. So I think that's a great looking jersey. I am very satisfied with how this came out. Honestly, I don't know why I let this sit on my pile for so long. It looks legit. Like, you would not know that I put this together from parts in 2025. There's no reason to think that this wasn't from the 1990. It's glorious. I love it, and that's it. So I'm John for Shrems and Phil for another episode of Loose Threads. Check out all the action that I do on Hockey Jersey Guy on Instagram. Like I said, most of these pieces came from eBay, numbers from Homegrown Sporting Goods, everything else, that's just all elbow grease. So with that, thank you, and I'll see you next time.